Today I'm going to be talking about 5 of the most valuable things that I gained from my study abroad journey and why it might be beneficial for you to go abroad as well. I went on my study abroad journey in the fall semester of 2017, and to this day is one of the most transformative experiences I have ever had. I was born and raised in Bronx, New York. Growing up in the Bronx for me was an okay experience. There's nothing crazy special about it. I was raised in a single parent household, living with my mom and my sister. I feel like had I grown up anywhere else, I wouldn't be the person that I am today. However, growing up, I never really got the opportunity to see very many places that were different from my own. I actually had never even left the country until I was about 17 years old. Being able to go abroad and see a different culture and meet new people and just have a completely different experience than I would have ever had I not left the Bronx, is something that I think I will be forever grateful for. Independence is probably one of the most valuable things I gained from this experience, and granted, I was not fully independent in this journey. I just want to put that out there. I did go through an accredited, trustworthy study abroad educational organization. I did have the help of my advisors, helping me plan to actually get there and get my visa. I did live with a host family, but it's a different kind of independence where you're your own problem solver. And in addition to that, you get to be whoever you want. You're going abroad to a completely different place. No one knows you there. It's kind of like a clean slate. So you get to be whoever you want to be. I feel like when you study abroad, there's kind of this transition. First, there's fear, and then it turns into thrill. I was boarding the plane and I was just like, oh my God, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? You're going to a different country alone where you know nobody and have no support, and they have earthquakes there? Like, are you like, what's going on? Until I got to the point where I was landing, and I'm just like, I remember landing and meeting my program coordinators and some of the other students, and then suddenly we're in this big cab van driving back to the hotel for orientation, and I'm just like, I did this. Like, I'm here. I did this. I got my own visa. I booked my own flight, and it was just a matter of, wow, I am capable. And I had that realization so many times throughout my journey, and I feel like that's where the growth kicks in. When you actually get out there and the only person you have to depend on is yourself, you prove yourself wrong in ways that you never imagined that you could. And for me, that is one of the most valuable things. So I think in the beginning of my journey, I was saying no to a lot of things. I was always the person that needed to plan things out step by step. I was always the person that needed to overplan or to overpack, versus at the end of the journey, I just realized I was the person that was saying yes to things all the time. One of my absolute favorite trips was this trip that we took to a town called Baños. I was this close to not going on this trip, and at the very last second, me and 2 other friends, we were just like, hey, we're broke. I had like $100 to my name. We ended up just getting up and deciding to go at the very last moment. It actually ended up being one of the best trips. We went ziplining for free. We ended up meeting so many cool people, and it was just one of the best trips, I think, to this day that I've ever been on. And I just can't imagine not having these memories had I not been able to say yes to things on a whim and just go for it. I think being in another country also made me more aware and conscious of things that are happening outside the place in which I live. So Now I'll hear about what's happening on the news, or I'll watch CNN, and I'll hear about what's happening in Venezuela or in Paris, and I am genuinely concerned because now I've built relationships in these places. I know people who are from these places, and I've built these connections with them. So I'm emotionally invested in the well-being of that country. Another thing that I want to talk about is living a healthier lifestyle. So I found that when I was abroad in Ecuador, it was so much easier for me to eat fresh fruit and vegetables. And I think part of that came from the fact that I was having 3 home-cooked meals each day. I was rarely eating out. And then the style of food over there is that even if you do eat out, it's everything there is cooked in kind of a homemade style, if that makes any sense. And I think another thing was that just being an international student, we took tours, we took hikes every single week, and that's something that just kind of became the norm for us. So I think I kind of really got adjusted to the lifestyle of being healthy or being fit without ever even realizing that I was doing it. There was no conscious effort, there was no thought that went into it. I was kind of just living my daily life out there, and those are the things that were part of my daily life. By the end of my journey, I happened to lose 16 pounds. And that blew my mind because I'm thinking, in Ecuadorian culture, they consume a lot of carbs and starchy foods, I guess. So every single meal, and I kid you not, every single meal contains rice or some kind of pasta or potatoes or yuca. And I feel like my results came so easy to me because I wasn't obsessing about any of it, which was a nice relief. The friendships that I developed while I was abroad are just unlike any other, because a lot of people don't get to go through this kind of experience. So when you go abroad, oftentimes there will be other international students who are also on the same kind of study abroad journey with you. They don't live in the same host family as you, but oftentimes you go to the same schools, you go on the same kind of trips, and they kind of become your first friends while you're there. Aside from myself, there were 21 other students who were also studying abroad. And we had students there from China, from the Netherlands, from Russia, from France, from South Korea, and other students from the States as well. It's really cool just to see how quickly you all kind of become family, and you're all kind of going on the same journey together. Everyone's a little scared, nobody really knows what to expect. So it's really nice to kind of have a bond with these people who you become close with so quickly in such a quick amount of time.